welcome everybody to my very first long-form sketchbook tool. In this sketchbook I did various things including character designs, concept art, art supply tests and so much more. I'm going to present this sketchbook tool with a stick because I broke my big tripod and I can't really reach out my hands too far because of the setup, and well, anyways, let's get on with the first page. So I started the sketchbook in a simple manner. I tried to design the main villain of my novel project, Rebellious Flame, and I tried to add in various cool details like a plague mask and devil horns to kinda showcase her whole thing, and I really like how it turned out. I'm definitely gonna change some things the next time I try to design her. Oh boy. For those unaware, a very common tip that artists share when it comes to trying to improve one's art is to try and draw with a pen. That way you can rely less on guidelines, recognize mistakes faster, and also just get better line confidence overall. But I am not the biggest fan of drawing this way. Don't get me wrong, I have seen in fact a lot of artists improve thanks to this method, and even I learned a lot of things while doing pen sketches like these. But I personally just don't enjoy that method very much, especially as somebody who focuses mostly on character designs. For example, if I were to try to change this character's hairstyle for something with a better silhouette, I'll have to draw the same head in a different hairstyle over and over again, filling up the entire page instead of just erasing the hairstyle and see what works best. I use sketchbooks for fun and experimentation, and the inability to erase limits me on both. Speaking of that, here are my OCs, Ambrose and Serafina. I no longer call her Ambrose, nor do I call her Serafina anymore. As you can see, when I tried to do various experiments with the character designs, changing up the things like the hairstyle or clothes, with pen it became very difficult because I didn't have much room for erasing stuff, and thus I had to waste up a lot of page space, and as somebody who doesn't like wasting stuff, it's probably some sort of fear, this type of drawing method just wouldn't be applicable to me in the most cases. I do like doing some exercises with pen, but I don't use pen as my main sketching medium. So on the next page I decided to test out how pencils and other stuff interacted with the sketchbook. Here I tried to use both graphite pencil and colored pencils and see how the sketchbook would handle those, and they turned out really well. I also tried to use alcohol markers in it and they didn't out as well. And then this. In October, I bought myself a pair of 4 Faber-Castell fine liners that came with a soft chisel pen and a soft brush pen. And those tools changed my art for good. The last page is kinda empty. As you can see, I tried to play around the alcohol bleed too with this robot cat, and I kinda still like it, but then this drawing of my OC Juliet. And this drawing made me want to test out brush pens here, and those changed my art forever. While I wouldn't call this the best page in my sketchbook, it is definitely my favorite how much this changed my art style and how much I was able to experiment with these brush pens. Here I did various pieces of fanart including Golgi from Uma Musume, Odysseus of Ithaca, Optimus Prime, Emu from Project Sekai, and Pomni. I have no idea what this says about my taste in media, but it certainly says something. Here I try to do some pencil drawings of an alien character I just designed for fun. I don't really have a project for this character yet, but I might in the future. Here is Saki Tema from Project Sekai, who is my favorite character from the game, and some hair practices I did with ink. In the next spread, I tried different ways of drawing. Here I tried the no line weight, here I tried a lot of line weight, and here I tried to copy the drawing method Jun from Jinja Ninja Ubu uses for their own drawings. And here I did various hair drawing practices with ink, and I really like how this one turned out especially. More onto this, while I do really love how June likes to draw their characters, I'm not really the biggest fan of that method, as I feel like it's really hard to get into more specific details, and I like to be more specific about things when it comes to my art. Not saying this is a bad method, just not for me. In the next spread, I did various practice drawing specifically of the head and noses and this character, which I tried to draw with my Pirate Apparel pen, which is like really good, but the ink for it isn't really waterproof, so I don't really use it that much. Plus, I really try to figure out how to do profiles in a way that gives them more dimension, and I'm really happy with how this one and how this one turned out. Plus the shading on this head looks really good, and I like how this nose turned out. Now that I mentioned noses, there's this good video by Tommy Worthington about how to find your style through ink, which I really recommend watching because it was really informative and entertaining, and I think everybody who wants to learn more about inking should go check it out. Next up, we have my first Sona doodles. I already made an entire video about how I made my new Sona, a newer Sona, and here I was basically testing out how I would draw my face in a more realistic style and a more stylized style, how I would do the wings, and overall different ways of drawing the head. I am not sure what this is supposed to be though, like I generally have no clue what this was supposed to be. This page is a bit more random. Again, I continued trying to figure out myself, but I also did these two tools where I tried to figure out a hairstyle for my OC Monique, and here I just tried to figure out how to draw a profile with a hooked nose like this, because usually when I see tutorials for profile noses, it's usually for like a nose like this and not much like this, so I try to experiment that from time to time. In the next page, I continue doodling my Sona, this time with ink, and here I try to do the method Javi can draw shared in this video when it comes to drawing pose and perspective, and I personally found it really helpful and very informative, especially when it comes to doing more stylized poses. In the next page, I did various ink drawings again, this time of my Sona and some OCs. My sister has criticized these two drawings because she said to me that this character doesn't actually look like a child, but the adult person cosplaying a child, and that critique kind of haunted me, and she especially pointed that out with these two drawings. I can kind of see where she was coming from with that critique concerning how wide I made their shoulders for no reason, and I'm gonna fix it in future drawings of these characters. Plus, here's more projects the Kai fan are mostly Saki focused with the Kohane and the Konlek. Say hi, Kohane, hi! Ooh, I love this spread, especially how Shizuku from Project Sakai turned out the NYOC, which I still not sure how to call by his name, is no longer Ambrose. He has a heart though, because he's full of heart and kindness. I love him. Also, here's my OC William, and I tried to figure out how to ink a character's full body in my new inking style, and I really like how it turned it out, but I think I'm gonna figure out how to do his like rock collecting. It's a long story. The next spread I am not as proud of. Like, I think this duel between Saki and her girlfriend, okay, one of her girlfriends, Honami, is quite cute. I tried different headshots of different characters, and then this one. Tsukasa Project Sakai. I love him so much, but why is his hair so hard to draw? Like, oh my gosh! The next spread is a really special one because not only did I try to figure out the design of a very major character in my novel project, Victoria, I also did my very first mini comic in ink, specifically an interaction between Nobody and Alice that I'm still figuring out. I doubt I'll use the exact same wording, but I really like how I set up the scene from their expressions to the panel layout. And look at my baby girl, she deserves less pain, but I'll give her more pain because I can. In the next spread, we have another mini comic and some practice doodles. This comic I'm kinda mixed about because I do like the page layout and the expression, but I feel like I overdid with the thick outline, especially here with Isa, who's like one of the main characters in my comic project, and I love her. You'll see a lot of her in the sketchbook. Just a warning, if you don't like Isa, you won't like the sketchbook, and if you don't know who Isa is, get ready because there's a lot of her. In the next spread, I tried to figure out designs for Monique and Dami. Dami is actually the character who was in this comic, but I decided to change things up by giving him glasses. His final design is very different from this, but Monique's design kind of stayed the same, especially her hair, but I did change her outfit to be more conservative. It makes sense in the comics world. Like, I'm gonna make a different video about her explaining the comic world these characters are in, and this mini comic is still funny to me. I don't know what to say, just look at his face here. In the next spread, we have another two characters from the comic project. We have Hikari and Quinn. Quinn isn't like gender fluid, and Hikari is a cis woman, just so you know, and here I really enjoy drawing their characters, and here I try to use my Pilot parallel pen to figure out the shading, and did not use just the same black ink brush. And here's Quinn as a doggo, because why not? Guess what we have in the next spread? It's Isa again. Expect her a lot. Plus I've adopted sister Corinne, and the Fear and Head challenge, I kind of messed it up by making this her neck a bit too much on the left. I probably should have pushed it a bit to the right, but I am happy with how this turned out, and this actually has a funny story. You see, I went out to hang out with my sister and her friends some time ago while they were going book shopping, and I myself bought these pastel pencils and tried them out, only to realize because they're pastel pencils, they kinda go everywhere, and when I was trying to blend them on the sketchbook, a lot of the powder fell onto my pens and my mother had to wash them. It's not as funny as I'm telling it out loud, but it was funny when it happened. Also, these are not the final designs I made for these two characters. In fact, I'm just gonna show you their final designs. I definitely changed Corinne's design more than I did Isa's, but I am still happy with how these turn out. I might use this outfit again in the future, but I'll see. In the next page, I tried to figure out the male characters of my comic, Damir again and Oscar. And here I did some poses practice, plus an abandoned mini comic I didn't really sketch out properly, but I do kind of like the figures here, and it's kind of just a nice memory and lesson to learn, and you don't have to finish everything in your sketchbook, and it's okay for things to stay as they are. In the next plot, we have more comic stuff. The comic itself is called Eternal Legends, about Isa trying to become legendary, and she's trying to find friends who become legendary with her, and it goes badly. Here are more characters in this comic, including Ife, Cecilia, Oscar, and a character I won't name, and my boy Guzawal. Look at Guzawal. Yes, his name is Guzawal because I love him and I love him a lot. Okay, I'm kind of sad I didn't actually try to finish this mini comic because I struggled drawing characters super small on pages, and I really am happy with how this headshot turned out and this wall, and I think it could have been really good in ink, but it's a bit too late now as my style kind of changed since I last drew it, and yeah. Here we have more Eternal Legend character design work where I try to draw the headshots of various characters. These are mostly side characters, but I am really happy how much different I made these, even though they won't really look like this in the final versions, especially these two and these two. Here is more concept work for Eternal Legends. This is like the main gang we're gonna follow in the story, and here I tried to figure out how to make their silhouettes stand out. Plus, here's Damir being sassy and Monique being a cutie patootie. Yowie! These are two characters from my novel Portrait of Belly Scream, and here's Isa again in different poses and a chibi. I'm not sure what my chibi style is technically, but I am happy with how these two dolls came out, so I might take inspiration from these when I develop my own chibi style. Oh boy, this one takes a lot of explaining. So a few months ago, I was invited to join a post-by-post D&D campaign where I play a dragonborn bard character, and I love her so much. Her name is Diane. She's a silly Billy, and I have no idea how to draw dragons, specifically their heads, as I find it difficult to match their heads in different perspectives because of their noses. And then I continued to draw more Eternal Legends stuff, specifically expressions for my character Isa, trying to see what type of silly expressions she would make from different angles. And this one is just a silly doodle I want to turn into a full illustration, but I might still do it. I'm really happy with how the sketch turned out. I'll think about it. Also, this is Kian. He's my favorite OC of all time, but I won't go too much into detail about his character here. Here I tried to figure out how to draw certain characters who are different in height, and here's basically concept work for the color schemes of my characters Colin and Oscar. Here are the designs again. Here, this happened because I watched a video by Jess Carp about the various different ways of hatching and how the tool you use can affect it. And here, this was in fact book fan art for a book I listened to called Ace's Well, which was so good. I definitely recommend it, especially because of its ace representation. Next up, we have practice doodles. Nothing special here, just I tried practicing various things including faces, poses, for shortening, nothing special. Here I tried to do more Eternal Legends doodles. Specifically, I really like how this perspective shot between Monique and Isa turned out, and again I might turn this into a full illustration but change up some things like make it more foreshortened and more dynamic. Don't ask who this is. Don't. Here I tried to draw Hikari again, and these are just random pencil exercises I did without any real purpose. I just think you should also be allowed to practice in your sketchbook but also do some nice drawings. Your sketchbook is your house and your house has your own rules. Remember that. Remember that, okay? Remember that. Remember that. Here are more practice stuff, forms, Dia said, and silly Isa because I like Isa. She's baby. More Dia concept work, which I'm not really happy about, except for the idea to give her a fancy hat. More Dia concept work plus my attempt at trying a more chibi-like child character. An attempt to figure out how to differentiate child characters and adult characters, plus more Isa. Like, can you tell I really like Isa? She's very precious to me. Aha! You may be asking yourself, wait, the last few pages didn't have any ink drawings at all. Did you give up on ink drawings? And I would like to say, no I didn't, but I also had no idea why I didn't do ink drawings for a while. But I did do this pencil portrait of my character. Alice was like the main character of my novel, and I really like how it turned out, but I could have done the edges a bit better and also kind of smudged on the other page, but it's fine, it still looks good. Here's more Dia plus some post practice. I tried to figure out how to draw her head based on some references I found online on how other people draw dragons, and these are notes I took where I was watching a video by, I can't remember the names, but I'm gonna link them right here on the screen. I recommend checking that video out as I found it very helpful when it comes to understanding shadow shapes. This is more pose practice. I tried to figure out how to draw this pose that I got from a reference and tried to draw it from a different angle. I'm not sure how bad I did, but I am happy with the result. Plus here's another pose that's just kind of random, nothing special really. And next up we have more chibi practice and then an ink drawing for once, which I am really happy with, especially how I did the shadows, but I definitely feel like I kinda got rusty with ink drawing considering I haven't done these in weeks, and as you can see in the previous sketchbook pages, and well, here's me being frustrated with my son and these sketches. I'm not sure what happened, but I was definitely frustrated when I did these because I wouldn't usually draw myself this angry. Hey y'all, I just want to say it's the next day. I tried to finish the sketchbook tour yesterday, but a lot of things came up and the sun got done really quickly, so I wasn't really able to continue the sketchbook tour yesterday, but I'm gonna try and finish it today. Let's see what we have next. Here I tried to get back to ink drawing, yet I didn't do so for quite some time because of reasons I don't really know myself. I tried mostly to shade with black and see how that works in my style, and while I am happy how this and these turn out, I'm much less so satisfied with how these backgrounds here turn out, and I'm not sure why exactly. Maybe it's because I didn't really have a definitive light source, but this is something I should keep in mind when I try to ink backgrounds with characters in the future. Oh, this page is kind of fun. It's pretty simple just looking at it, but it does have a fun story behind it. You see, some time ago when I was doing this page, I started to watch TV again, and one channel I was watching just happened to air the VHS videotape of the How to Draw Comics the Malway video, and I was watching and did these doodles alongside, and I was really happy with it, especially this. I kind of had the digital PDF version of the set book, but I found the video also helped me a lot in figuring out the more complicated stuff I didn't really figure out whilst reading it. It's a really good book, and I think you should check out the video too if it's available anywhere. So here I tried to use highlighters again, figuring out how to incorporate them into my ink drawings without making them stand out too much. Here this is an alcohol marker drawing I really liked, which I did on alcohol marker paper, which I honestly don't really like using because sometimes the texture on it gets really weird, but I did like how this drawing turned out of Monique, so I decided to kind of scrapbook on it, and I also bought a black and gray highlighter to kind of play around darker skin tone options and not just use the white of the paper or pencil scribbles to indicate darker skin tones. Also, this Monique doodle is cute. Here we have more tests with the grey highlight and how I would use it for shading, and a comic I really wish I inked but I didn't, probably because I was afraid if the ink would ruin the composition, but I do really like the page flow of it, and I probably should have made this expression more dynamic as this entire conversation is kind of important to the story, but yeah, first draft and everything. Here are more tests with the highlighters. Here I tried to figure out the hairstyle for my OC Afe. I don't remember how it's pronounced right now, but her name is basically spelled as E-Y-F-E, and I don't remember how to pronounce it. And here's Oscar. Oscar has darker skin, as I've probably shown you in some design references, and again, I didn't want to use the white of the paper scribble with a pencil to darken skin tone, so the gray highlighter will come in use for such things. Also here I tried to figure out how to draw plus size body plus some form practice. Yuri! Here I tried to draw different character interactions between a very important duo and eternal legends, that is Monique and Corinne. I tried to play out their dynamic in different ways, of Monique being pretty anxious and Corinne kind of being like a person who calms her down and supports her, and kind of gets surprised when Monique does get able to stand up for herself, and it's just, I love them so much. Here's more scrapbooking of me trying to figure out the Muse design, like his color scheme, his hair color. Again, these are pretty early drafts of his design and don't really apply to his current design that I finished some time ago, but I did like how this pose turned out, and I really like this necklace idea I had, which is kind of important for the early parts of the story, but I won't say why. This mini comic, I tried to figure out if I could draw a fancy and well-read comic with just pencil, and I really like how it turned out. I used a really semi-popular meme to figure out this interaction, and I kind of like it. Here is also the designs of the exorcist antagonists in the story. I'm still figuring those out, but this interaction is just really fun, and I liked Isa's expression here a lot. Nothing special here. Here I just tried to practice anatomy after I watched that one video from Draw Like a Star. Here's a chibi practice of Isa. Here we get some rebellious flame concept art for a change, specifically the character Sandok and transform into a dragon. There was originally going to be a super late story twist, but I decided to make this an early story thing because I just couldn't figure out how to reveal this as the plot twist without disrupting other narrative beats. Here's a different kind of rebellious flame, which I might or may not add. It's a complicated expression, of course. Uppy, hey! Here's the Damil sketch. I tried to do a whole spreader, but then I didn't. So here are some profiles of various Transformers girls like RC, Alita, and RC again. I really like RC. Here I tried to play around with my Pilot parallel pen again and some highlighters to see how they would interact with each other. I probably should have inked this sketch clean so it's more visible, but I did like how this effect kinda turned out, but yeah, also more pen sketches. I was really struggling with Amir's design at the time, so I figured out if I did drawings of him in pen sketches, it would be an easier time for me to just figure out what works and what doesn't, then I end up using none of these ideas at the end because I'm indecisive like that. Okay, so down here I was really focused into inking the pages of my one-shot comic The Sacrifice that I used for the Kadokawa World Manga Contest entry, and I tried new pens and old pens to see how they would work with inking it, and give me a second. Specifically, I bought this set of Uniball pens that come with 3 brush pens, 4 finalized, and a mechanical pencil. This set is overall really good. I wish we had more variety of tutorials like manga penning and not just expressions, eyes, and bodies, but the pens themselves are really good, and especially the mechanical pencil. But I love this mechanical pencil. Wanna know why? I'll show you why. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. So good! I also tested out how different whiteouts would interact with the pens, like acrylics, regular whiteout, a white acrylic paint pen, and the best thing that worked out was the acrylic paint. The whiteout was very good too, but it really stinked, and I couldn't really handle the smell, especially if I wanted to use it a lot. Last video I'll mention for today, but here I discovered a cool video about how to foreshorten character poses by measuring the bodies in half and such, and just helped me figure out how to draw bodies in foreshortened poses, and I really like how this one turned out especially, and you can see that again in this spread. And here I tried to do foreshortening just using simple shapes and such. In the next spread, there isn't really much special anything. I tried to do some foreshortening and poses exercise again. I like how this turned out, but This hand, it could have used some work. And here's just random doodles by my boy Kieran. I love him, but why did I choose such a difficult name to call him? Okay, this was supposed to be that one meme about how dentists react to various toothpastes, and most of them are heavy, but then one is just really grumpy. And I tried to do that here, but ended up as a character design exercise to see how can I differentiate various characters. And here's ink drawings of Baldo and my other OC, Cece, and Cece interacting with Monique in this mini comic because they're very silly. Here we have more interactions between Cece and Monique, and also more Colin and Monique, really specifically about how Monique believes Colin isn't scared of anything, but she actually is, and I think this is a really important moment in their story, but I'm not sure if I execute here in the sketchbook, but I will try to do so in the final product. Here we have our last spread. Remember how at the beginning of the sketchbook I said I called a different character Ambrose? Well, here's Ambrosia. It's just a derivative of Ambrose, but I love him still. Like, look at him. Also, like a one-panel minute comic cover Client just reacting to the others annoying him, and I love this grumpy little dude. And the last page is kinda underwhelming to me, but it's fine. Here I tried to figure out how to draw Clearen's wings, and I guess it turned out well. I still have issues drawing the feathers specifically out. I do like the composition of this overall, even though I feel like I should have erased the legs here so it gives it a more powerful effect. And that's all when it comes to this sketchbook. I really like how it turned out in general. Definitely changed my art for the better, and even though I only used it for since around October 2025 to March 2026, those like 6-7 months definitely helped me improve my art a lot, and I'm really happy I started this sketchbook.